Okay, here we are once again. Oh my god, it feels good to be back live streaming. Ooh, okay. Oh wait, I forgot my headphones. There we go. Okay, let me just fix a few things here. Okay, so let me just fix a few things here. Um, honestly, I thought I was prepared, but I guess I'm not. Okay, okay. So if you don't know what I'm going to be doing, what I'm about to explain to you what we're doing here today. So, let me just put my phone somewhere. So, can I put it here? Oh, yeah, I can, but I'll put it right there. So what are we doing here today? You might ask. Well, I am going to tell you urban legends about every U.S. state. Yes, that is right. It's no secret that there is no. It's no secret that everywhere in the world, that some places in the world are completely haunted. Like haunted houses, ghost stories, and stuff like that. But I can assure you that I I sort of believe in ghosts. So, um, yep. Ah, okay. So, so I'm gonna be. I have a list pulled up here on my phone. So I'm gonna tell you guys the all 50 urban legends. There's one about each state, and we're just gonna get started right now. So let's get started. So the first one I have pulled up here is. By the way, we're gonna be going in alphabetical order. So no need to like keep track of like which state we're on because we're gonna be going in alphabetical order. That's it. That's if you know all the states um in alphabetical order. So we're gonna be doing this. All right, let's get started. First one, Alabama. I don't know much about Alabama, but what I do know is this urban legend called Hugging Molly. That's right. So who is Molly, you might ask? I have one answer. I don't know. But I'm assuming that she's a ghost who wants hugs. Obviously, everyone wants hugs, right? Well, not everyone. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We're okay. So let me read this. Let me read the urban legend here that I have pulled out on my phone. So we have it right here. The legend of hugging Molly is clearly a tool used by parents to get their children to obey the rules. The story, native to Abbeville, tells of a phantom woman who appears to children if they stay out late at night. She grips the lingering child tightly and screams in their ear, even though she's not meant to cause death. Just one heck of a fright. Sounds like something out of a horror movie. Ooh, all right. Um, so, my comment on this is actually bad parenting. Like, who wants to scare their kids to think to go to bed, Jimmy, or else I'm gonna get Molly to hunt you. Seriously, what? Okay. Okay, the next one is Alaska. Very cold and not connected to the US states. So it's on the other side over next and we're connecting with Canada. So that's the next one that we're going to be doing. So this next one is called the Qualupik. This is Alaska's urban legend. So it says here, the Qualupik is a Inuit version of a mermaid or a siren, calls with a hum to children who are wandering too close to the seashore, then takes them away in her baby pouch. The greenish woman-like creature will never return the child once it is taken to the depths. Sounds like a good way to convince your kids not to go in the water. If you ask us, stick them in front of a great Halloween movie for kids instead. Again, this is also bad parenting. Why would you want to scare your kids into going into the water? But every parent has their own ways of dealing with happy couple. Everyone has kids. Not everyone has not everyone has decisions about getting kids. All right. So let's just obey your parents, kids. That's all I got to say for that one. Uh, let's move on. Okay, the next state is Arizona. Also known as it's called the Slaughterhouse Canyon. Also known as Luana's Canyon, the urban legend of the Slaughterhouse Canyon tells the gruesome tale of a 19th century gold miner who failed to come home um, come home to his family one night without his earnings. The mother and her child didn't couldn't buy food, so they began to starve. When she couldn't stand it any longer, the wife chopped her kids into little pieces, tossed them in a nearby river, and died of despair. And legend has it her cries can still be heard echoing throughout the canyon. So this is an event that a basically this wife didn't want to starve, so she just killed her kids. Um, okay, so back to the list. We're going on to Arkansas. The Gurdon Light. Like many urban legends, the story of the Gurdon Light has several variations. In one, a railroad worker was hit by a train and decapitated. His spirit can still be seen today, um, searching for his lost light. In another, the railroad worker bore a violent grudge against his boss who had fired him. He murdered his former employer with a railroad spike, and the victim now wanders these tracks. While the Gurdon Light is well documented, no one has ever been able to offer an explanation as to what the story really is. So that's Arkansas. Now we're done with the A's, and I just realized there's no B's. No U.S. states start with B. So we're gonna move on to C, California. The Charman of San Antonio Creek. Per local for per local per local lore, a father and a son were trapped in a horrible fire. The father perished, and before help could arrive, the traumatized son lost his mind. He skinned his father, then ran into the forest. Now known forever as Charman. His blackened, burnt body is said to attack motorists on Creek Road in Ojai as he seeks more human skins. So, for those that live in California, and if you go at night, if you're a motorist on Creek Road, just be careful. That's all I ask. Because I don't want to see someone getting skinned alive and then be left to die. Okay, so next one, Colorado, the Ridge Home Asylum. Let's see. The Ridge Home Asylum, it was a real facility that opened in Arvada in 1912, but it's become an urban legend because of its history. It reportedly it's reportedly house patients who were horribly mistreated. Some of whom were even mentally incapable, but just been forsaken by their families. Though it was demolished in 2004, people say that they can still hear the screams and see the apparitions of former patients on the ground. But maybe they're just some people looking for last minute Halloween costumes. Okay, next is Connecticut, Dudleytown. The misfortunes of the that have occurred in Dudleytown started in the 1700s. Are so They are so terrible and numerous that its nickname is the Village of the Damned. And the now completely deserted town is said to have been home to many suicides, disappearances, and even demonic activity. That that includes trying to connect with the dead or something, like Ouija board and stuff and all, um, or like seances. Um, there that has given the activities have given rise to several urban legends. It is believed that founders of the village, and by extension, the village itself, is forever cursed. Okay, next one. We're going on to D. Fort Delaware in Delaware. A prisoner camp during the Civil War, first Fort Delaware in Delaware City was ultimately home to more than 30,000 Confederate soldier inmates. The few thousand who died before they could leave the Union fort are said to still haunt the area. That's pretty short. Now, in Florida, Captain Tony's. Since 1852, Captain Tony's, the oldest saloon in Key West, has been known to be haunted. Doors slam for no apparent reason, and there are inexplicable banging noises and frequent ghostly visitations. Perhaps that's because it's the site of the ghost town's original morgue, which was built around a tree that the town once used for hanging pirates. Yikes. Now we're moving on to Georgia. It's called the Song of the Cell. As urban legend goes, in 1848, Alec and his wife Betsy, who were both slaves at the time, were in their home one night when their master drunk, when their master, who was drunk and belligerent, crashed open the door. He attempted to attack Betsy, but Alec fought him off. Undeterred, the master chased Alec up a ladder into a loft. As the struggle continued, the Masters lost his balance, fell off the loft, and died. Even though Alec turned himself into the sheriff the next morning, explaining explaining that what happened was self-defense. He was still charged with murder. Alec was imprisoned in the old Lawrenceville jail and later executed unjustly for the crime. People say they can still hear his sorrowful song traveling through the walls of the old jail. Just give me a moment. Okay. Next one, Hawaii, Pali Highway. Pele, the Hawaiian volcano goddess, has many myths attached to her name. One tells her of an ill-fated union with the demigod Kamapua, who was half pig and half human. The two supernatural beings had a terrible breakup, agreeing to never see each other again. That's why, as urban legend has it, if you carry pork with you when you travel over the Pali Highway in Oahu, your car will come to an unexplicable halt, and next time you're in the area, we advise sticking to chicken. I don't know why that sounds fake, but imagine a god and a goddess breaking up in a relationship and then causing a curse to be on this highway or whatever. Just imagine that. I never thought I heard of that. A goddess and a goddess, wait, a god and a goddess breaking up in a relationship. This doesn't sound right to me. You know. All right, Idaho, the water babies of Massacre Rocks. This urban legend is about starvation and infanticide. So if you're squeamish, you might want to skip ahead. Well, I'm not squeamish, so I'm gonna continue reading this. When a famine hit the local area of Pocatello, mothers resorted to drowning their babies in the rivers instead of letting them starve to death. It is said that those babies turned to fish-like imps whose new mission is to track or even trick or murder people. I don't know what's wrong with that water, but I'm not going to be a part of it. Um, Illinois, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Often referred to as one of the most haunted graveyards in America, this 82 plot cemetery is known as the home of many phantom sightings. People who have visited this site have seen numerous inexplicable illusions from a ghostly white lady to an ephemeral ephemeral I don't know how to say that. White farmhouse. Jeez, I don't know how to talk today. Okay, now we're at my state, Indiana. The 100 Steps Cemetery. If you visit the cemetery in the town of Brazil, Brazil is a city in my state, not the country. No, it's not only the country, but it's also a city in my state. Um, if you visit the cemetery in the town of Brazil, you can climb down 100 steps in total darkness of night. Urban legend has it that you will see the ghost of the original caretaker appear before you on top of the hill. Apparently, he will give you a preview of what your own death will look like. Um, that's basically Grim Reaper's future showing you your future death, and it's not going to show you when you die, but I'm assuming it's going to show you how you will die. Maybe it might be painful or painless. Um, Now we're in Iowa, Stony Hollow Road. As the saying goes, a woman scorned is not someone you want to mess with. Lucinda of the town of Burlington is no different. Legend says that when her fiance failed to meet her at there as promised one night, she threw herself off the bluffs along Stony Hollow Road. Ever since, her ghost has appeared to countless people. What's much worse is that if she leaves a rose at your feet, you are destined to die within 24 hours, or so the story goes. I thought roses mean love, not death within 24 hours. Um, all right, now we're in Kansas. Molly's Hollow. The urban legend of Molly's Hollow speaks to the country's racist history. Okay, here we go. As the legend goes, when the local townsfolk found out that Molly, an African American woman, was involved with a white man, she was lynched. Um, People claim her spirit is still there, screaming at night. Okay, Kansas is racist sometimes. I guess. I guess that's what this story says. Not like trying to offend anyone here, but I think that's what that means. Maybe. Tell me. You can tell me if I'm wrong. All right. Now we're moving on to Kentucky. Hogan's Fountain. In Cherokee Park, you'll find Hogan's Fountain, which features a statue of Pan, the pastoral yet devious Greek god. At every full moon, some versions say at every night at midnight, the figure of Pan wanders the park, causing mischief for passersby. All right. So the statue will just like get up and move around like a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic. Um, Louisiana, the Carter brothers. Back in the early 1930s, a young woman escaped from the home of the Carter brothers in New Orleans, um, which with slash marks on her wrist. She told police that the brothers were feeding off her blood. The cops stormed the French Quarter residence, where they found more young women in similar states, their blood draining from their bodies. The brothers, now thought to be vampires, were captured and executed, only for it to be discovered years later that the crypts were empty. Okay, so this one's about vampires feeding off the flesh and blood of a woman. That just sounds wrong. All right, Maine, Seagun Island Lighthouse. Like many urban legends, the one in Maine has to do with isolation. As legend has it, in the 1800s, the caretaker of Seagun Island Lighthouse and his wife were the only two people living on the tiny spit of land. They naturally grew increasingly bored and isolated. The caretaker bought a piano so his wife could play it to keep them both entertained. But she only knew one song. The sufferable repetition of the same tune, combined with the severe isolation, drove the husband mad. He took an axe, chopped the piano and his wife into bits. Then he killed himself. Or so the story goes. Maryland, Big Liz and the Green Brier Swamp. During the Civil War, Big Liz, a very large woman, who was a slave, but then became a spy for the Union troops. But her espionage was found out by her master, who decided to exact revenge. Urban legend says that he took Big Liz to the Green Brier Swamp so she can help him bury a treasure. Big Liz dug a hole and so was sequentially decapitated by her evil master, who threw her body into the grave that she had unwittingly dug for herself. It is said that if you travel to that spot during the dead of night, you will see her spirit there, attempting to lure you into the murky swamp. It sounds like Shrek, but worse. I don't know why. Next one, Massachusetts. The ghost of Sheriff George Corwin. When you think of haunted locales and birthplaces of urban legends in the United States, Salem is no doubt one of the top places that comes to mind. A key character in the Salem witch trials. The Sheriff Corwin was the most infamous and brutal when it came to interrogating and handling the accused witches, earning himself the nickname the Strangler. For his torturous methods, a building called the Joshua Ward House now stands on top of the land where Corwin lived and died. And many people say they've seen him in the windows or even felt his hands pressing down around their necks when they are inside the space. So if you live in Massachusetts and you go to Salem, you live in Salem, careful because there might be a ghost that's trying to strangle you to death. Michigan, the Nain Rogue. This is one of the urban legends that is still recognized today, celebrated by the people of Detroit every year. They say there's a devilish creature known as the Nain Rogue, French for the red. It's French for red dwarf, who causes this creature causes mayhem in the city. He is thought to be seen when disaster is about to strike, and is even said to be the cause or the reason for the Cadillac company's downfall in the city. So something about the Cadillacs company in Detroit and this creature have something to do with each other. Um, Minnesota, the Wendigo. So if anybody who has not heard or read the book Pet Cemetery, you'll find out that the Wendigo is the one that cursed the pet cemetery in the book, the grounds. So the Wendigo is a creature of a Native American folklore that is thought to be a result of cannibalism. A person will turn into a Wendigo, a fang-bearing creature that is tall, skeletal, and hairy. If they resort to eating another human being, will you fall into the glowing eyes and snake-like tongue of the Wendigo, or is it just an urban legend? Who knows? Because I read the book and watched the remake of the movie. Dozens of times actually. Okay, Mississippi, the Witch of Yazoo. While living on the Yazoo River, an old woman allegedly lured boatsmen to their deaths with her magic. One day, the local sheriff chased her into a swamp, and as she drowned in the quicksand, she put a curse upon the town. In 20 years, she said that she would return to set the city aflame. Yearly, in 1904, the city was hit with a massive fire, believed to be the work of the witch. The next day, when people went to visit her grave at the Glenwood Cemetery, they saw that chain links around her grave had been broken. Or so the urban legend goes. So, we're going to move on to Missouri, the Landers Theater. The Landers Theater in Springfield is supposedly beyond haunted. From fires to stabbings to accidental deaths, this theater has seen it all and has many urban legends to tell. Locals and performers have alleged that they've seen the ghosts of the people believed to have perished there, including the janitor, who is said to have died during the 1920 fire. So this theater supposedly burned down in that year, and it's haunted because of their spirits. Supposedly, don't know for sure, but we're just saying. Uh, Montana, the haunting of Chico Hot Springs Hotel. The mysterious lady in white supposedly roams the corridors of the Chico Hot Springs Hotel in Prey, Montana, scaring guests and staff members. People have reportedly seen the ghost of a woman in white many times, leading them to room 349, only to find an empty rocking chair swaying back and forth. Her rocking chair is sometimes found in other rooms as well, always facing the window, position, no matter the position the last person left it in. Next one, Nebraska, the Hatchet House. The urban legend of the Hatchet House of Portal reminds us of those scary ghost stories we used to tell each other at camp. As legend goes, a school teacher from long ago went insane and decapitated all her students in the one-room schoolhouse. Afterwards, she placed their heads into on their respective desks and took their hearts into a nearby bridge, throwing the organs into the water. People say you can still hear the hearts beating if you cross it, hence the name Heartbeat Bridge. We dare you to try it, it says. All right, so okay, next one. This is going to be obvious since I know about it. Nevada. Everybody knows about Area 51. No. Well, let me tell you what this article says. Um, it's called "The Aliens at Area 51." Um, Publicly known as the place where the military tests out some of its most advanced weapons and technology, conspiracy theorists and urban legend diehards suspect that it's also where the US government stashes the UFOs it doesn't want us knowing about. So I do believe that. Here, okay. So you want to hear something funny? I believe. Let me tell you my theory on aliens. I believe that the government was the first people to come in contact with real aliens, and they are holding a secret alliance together. They just don't want us knowing about it. So that is my theory, and I think it's mostly true. Okay, next one. New Hampshire. The Legend of Kokorua. Mount Kokorua was named after a Native American chief who lived in the early 1700s. Legend has it that he left his son with the Campbell family while he went away on tribal business. While under the family's care, the son died, perhaps accidentally, perhaps not. Um, to exact revenge, Chief Kokorua killed the white man's wife and children. Then the surviving Campbell chased Kokorua to the top of the mountain and shot him dead. And not before the chief had placed a terrible curse upon the land. It is said that the land, now known as Kakarua Lake Conservancy will inflict suffering on death on anyone who tries to live there or drink from its rivers. So do not go to this lake because you will possibly die. All right. Okay, New Jersey. The Ghost Boy of Clinton Road. The ghost of a young boy is said to reside beneath one of its bridges on this road in Passaic County in northern New Jersey. According to the legend, he's quite helpful, not to mention honest. If you drop a coin into the water, he'll return it to you within 24 hours. It has become a rite of passage for local teens to go test it out. So that's not as scary as I thought it would be. New Mexico, UFO crash at Roswell. Okay. In 1947, something big, really, really big, crashed on a ranch northwest of Roswell. Members of the U.S. military quickly came to retrieve the debris, which led to believe that it was something they wanted to cover up, a UFO, perhaps. Adding to the mystery, Jesse Marcel Jr., son of one of the military officers charged with clearing the site, later described the debris he saw his father bring home as he made a lead foil with I beams. According to Roswell UFO Museum, he recalled the writing on the I beams as purple. Strange, never saw anything like it. Different geometric shapes, leaves, and circles. The US government maintains it was a weather balloon that crashed, but urban legends tells a very different story. Okay, getting close there. New York, the legend of Cropsey. Staten Island, Cropsey, has been a local legend for decades, gaining national attention when the documentary of the same name was released. The story goes that Cropsey had a hook for a hand and was a patient at Willowbrook State School. He would come out at night to hunt and chase local kids with his hook hand. In truth, a series of child murders did take place in this area of Staten Island in the 19 between the 1970s and 1980s. Now we need to look at these Halloween. Oh, wait, no, that's something that's not related. North Carolina, the Beast of Bladenboro. Many regions in the U.S. have their own urban legends. I have a story about a mutant creature in the woods who kills viciously and indiscriminately. In North Carolina, the it's the Beast of Bladenboro, described by locals as a panther-like, bloodthirsty killer lurking in the darkness. It is said to have attacked numerous dogs and even people. Watch your back, it says. Um, North Dakota, the Mini Washatu. Next time you're on the banks of Missouri River in North Dakota, keep an eye out for the Mini Washatu of North Dakota, a giant red hairy monster with sharp spikes along its back, a horn, and only one eye. If you look at it, blindness, insanity, and even death are said to soon follow. And on second thought, don't keep an eye out for it. A lot of things are saying keep an eye out for this or that, and a lot of things are said to be keeping an eye out for this, but I assume that that's not the case here. Okay. Mm, Ohio, the Gore Orphanage. In the 1800s, there was a deadly fire at the aptly named Gore Orphanage in Lorain County. Tragically, every single orphan in the institution perished. Locals say if you visit the site where the orphanage stood, you can still see the ghosts of the dead children, hear them playing, or smell their burning flesh. It's creepy. Oklahoma, Shaman's Portal. People have allegedly disappeared into thin air upon setting foot in these dunes in Beaver Sands, also known as Oklahoma's Bermuda Triangle. It is believed that a U.S. UFO has crashed here, opening a door to another world. Now, Oregon, the Bandage Man. The ghost of a man who was supposedly chopped into bits at a sawmill terrifies Oregon residents. and urban legend believers to this day. And they call him the Bandage Man because, while his entire body is wrapped in bloody bandages, mostly he is said to attack people who drive through or park their cars in Cannon Beach. Sounds like a pretty cool beach to go to, actually. Cannon Beach. Sounds like a name for pirates. um, Pennsylvania, Eastern State Penitentiary. For those of you who don't know what a penitentiary is, it's basically another name for jail. Um, the Eastern State Penitentiary of Pennsylvania is a real place that was shut down due to its exceptional cruelty toward inmates. Each cell and chamber has its own set of hauntings and terrible tales. And walking through the pit of hell itself, if that's what it feels like. So if you're the type who likes to experience the macabre, you can take a tour on Halloween, but you must sign a liability waiver before entering, though, possibly for safety reasons. All right, Rhode Island, Fingernail Freddy. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's Rhode Island's legend of Fingernail Freddy. This is supposedly the inspiration for the horror movie The Nightmare on Elm Street. In this version, Fingernail Freddy is a wild woodsman who, with insanely long fingernails, who comes out to attack campers with his talons. This is basically Rhode Island's version of Freddy Krueger. Okay, South Carolina, the legend of Lavinia Fisher. Known as America's first female serial killer, Lavinia Fisher was currently not dainty about um, her kills. In the 1800s, she and her husband, John, ran an inn where they had the unfortunate habit of killing off many of their guests. They would poison them and then when the four-person had fallen asleep, drop them down a trap door. One victim managed to escape, and the two were found out, resulting in their execution. Now people say the ghost of Lavinia Fisher haunts the Charleston jail where she was executed. All right, let's see. South Dakota, Walking Sam. Walking Sam of South Dakota is a bit like the notorious figure from the Slenderman video games, an unnaturally tall and skinny and creepy character. Those who cross his path are induced to commit suicide, and his favorite prey is young teens. All right, Tennessee, Skinned Tom. As the story goes, in the 1920s, a young man named Tom once took his lady friend to the local lover's lane. He didn't know it, but the woman who he was enamored with was in fact married. Her husband found the two canoodling in their car, murdered the wife, and then skinned Tom alive. Folks say Tom still hangs around Lover's Lane, ready to kill those who dare to commit adultery. Okay, I don't want to know what that's all about. Texas, the Luchaza. In South Texas, after you've had a beer or two, you'll need to be on the lookout for the lechuza. Depending on the version of the urban legend being told, this incredibly large owl is a rather brahua's. That's another word for witch, or a familiar woman by day, bird by night. Her child was killed by a drunk person. Now she's on the prowl, looking to take revenge on bar patrons stumbling out into the street after closing time. Okay. Utah, the curse of the Escalante Petrified Forest. Visitors to the Escalante Petrified Forest in the Black Hills of Utah are cautioned to leave what they find behind. Legend has it that anyone who takes as so much as a rock or a piece of wood will suffer intense misfortune. Car accidents, broken bones, and even job loss are said to have befallen those who dared to ignore the warning. Vermont. Okay, hold on. All right. The Brattleboro Retreat Tower. Built as part of an insane asylum in the 1800s, The Brattleboro Retreat Tower um, was soon closed after a number of patients supposedly committed suicide by fleeing themselves from the top. Um, the tower remains standing today, and people say that if you dare visit it, you'll see the ghosts plunging to their deaths over and over again, like an old tape replaying itself. Virginia, Bunnyman Bridge. As the story goes, in 1904, some of the most dangerous patients from an asylum um, in Clifton, Virginia, were being moved to a prison when the bus crashed on Fairfax Station Bridge. The inmates attempted to escape, but only one was successful. He left a trail of dead, skinned, half-eaten rabbits hanging from the bridge that was the scene of the crash. Then, on Halloween night of that very same year, um, several teens hanging out under the bridge were attacked at the stroke of midnight and met the same fate as the bunnies. Poor bunnies. Um, Washington, Maltby's 13 Steps to Hell. In Maltby Cemetery in Maltby, Washington, you'll find a set of 13 steps leading down to an underground crypt. Urban legend has it that anyone who makes the regrettable decision to climb those steps will be met with a vision of hell, so terrifyingly that it will drive them to insanity. All right, West Virginia, the Mothman. Yes, this is the same Mothman from the movie The Mothman Prophecies. The final scene of that movie is a retelling of of a take on an event that actually happened in 1967. The Silver Bridge that connects to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, with Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed at the height of rush hour, killing 46 people. Killing 46 people. According to legend, it was the Mothman, the great bringer of death, who caused the accident. All right, Wisconsin, the bloody headstone at Riverside Cemetery. Um, this urban legend tells of a woman by the name of Kate Blood, fitting, right? Who is said to have killed her husband and three children, after which she committed suicide. Her headstone at River Cemetery in Appleton allegedly drips with blood every full moon. Though, if you do visit, a glance of her headstone will quickly debunk the legend. She was outlived by her husband and her only child. All right, Wyoming, the jackalope. The large bunny creature was with antelope horns is a well-known character in Wyoming's culture, history, and landscape, and urban legends. Some people who say they've most definitely seen it, while others shrugged it off as a fairy tale. What do you think? And that is all the urban legends about every U.S. state in the USA. I'm gonna end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.